Good morning, traders. It's Thursday, August 24th. We're about 2 hours before the open. Had some big news last night. NVIDIA released earnings, big pop after the announcement. Let's start with the market this time. I always start with my previous picks, but the market was really the big caveat to doing these trades. We were expecting a bounce, and we're just starting to get one. My video came out here Sunday evening. I said, watch for a bounce. This is a fairly substantial market decline, but we can see mixed overlapping candles on the way down, which tells us that buyers are still engaged. If they weren't, we would see red candle, red candle, red candle, red candle. That would be aggressive, heavy selling on big volume. We didn't see that. But by the same token, if you start taking a look at previous dips, there's a small dip, quickly resolved, small dip, quickly resolved, small dip, quickly resolved. You get the idea. This dip has actually been more prolonged and it's been deeper. That tells us that we have to take it seriously. I'm not looking for the bottom of the market to fall out, but we are in a seasonally weak period. So all of the previous price action, be it here or here, helps me to form my thesis of what's going to happen. In that last video, I had mentioned I'm looking for a bounce because this is not super heavy selling volume, and I'm looking for that bounce to stall out right around the 50-day moving average. And what I would like to see on this bounce is mixed overlapping candles on light volume. Okay, that's exactly what we're getting. Now we're going to get a bump up this morning because of NVIDIA's earnings reaction, and we will be testing this 50-day moving average. I'm also going to overlay another indicator that I use. It's VWAP on a quarterly basis, and we can see that that comes into play right around that 445 level. That also coincides with this was horizontal resistance. Once we broke out above it, it became support. Once we broke below it, it became resistance. So that is also a resistance level that's coinciding. So we have many, many different technical levels, AV-WAP-Q, 50-day moving average, horizontal resistance, coming into play right around that 445 level. We also have a downward sloping trend line from the July high. So that also is going to be providing some resistance. Now, as far as technical support and resistance levels go, when we test these levels, we don't want to peck, peck, peck away at them. We want to obliterate them. We want to blow through them. I don't believe we're going to see that. Yes, we could rally today. We could have a gap and go and continue to move higher and build on that. But eventually, the depth of this dip tells me that sellers are going to return at some point because we've seen that this is a fairly prolonged move lower. Also, seasonally weak period. We also have Jackson Hole today. Fed officials are going to be speaking. Powell speaks tomorrow. It's likely to be a splash of cold water on the market. They are hawkish. Let's take a very quick look at what TLT is doing. We'll go into another chart, and that is the US 10-year bond. Here you can see how we've had this big bounce up in TLT. So if we zoom out, we can see that there is major technical support at the 52-week low. And so now we're getting that bounce up. JP Morgan Chase said that they have reduced their probability of a rate hike in September. They're looking more towards a 25 basis point rate hike by the Fed in October. So that has helped to give bonds some relief. But you can see this is a very substantial decline. The market had been pricing in that the Fed was going to ease in Q4. Push comes to shove, we're getting closer to Q4. They have to unwind those positions because the Fed has said we are not going to ease. In fact, we think we are going to raise 25 basis points. So as we drew closer to Q4, that selling pressure increased. Plus, we had the Fitch downgrade, which got bonds really selling off hard. Interest rates are high. That is a stiff headwind. We're also starting to see some financial weakness. So if I bring up XLF, financials are the oil that lubricates the market. When financials are pulling back like they have been, that's not a great backdrop for the market. Upward sloping trend line. This is a very important point because it also happens to coincide with the 100-day moving average. This is the XLF. If XLF breaches this support level, it is going to weigh on the market. And you can see how XLF has been able to breach the 100-day moving average. Excuse me, that's the 200-day moving average, and that's the 50-day moving average. So it's breached the 200-day and the 50-day, and now it's within striking distance of that 100-day moving average. We've got conditions in China starting to deteriorate, lots of issues with their property developers. Economically, their growth is slowing pretty dramatically. So the news in August has been relatively heavy, and that is why we've seen this pullback that's pretty sustained. Those nervous jitters are going to continue into September. So I'm looking for a move. We've got these mixed overlapping candles. Today we're going to open right around this major technical resistance level. So what would I be looking for today? I'm not going to guess what's going to happen. I'm going to watch the action play out. So this is the juncture that I had mentioned Sunday evening. I'm looking for a bounce. Here's the type of bounce that I want to see. Here today, a bearish reaction for me, or a bearish setup, I should say, would be a gap higher. We open on the high, and then we instantly start filling the gap. So we poke up above the 50-day moving average, this 445 level, and then the market starts to slip back. If I don't see that, and we have a gap and go pattern, and the market rallies and pushes right through this resistance level and closes on its high, that's a bit more bullish, and I have to be more cautious. Do I go gonzo on my bullish trades at that point? Personally, I'm not going to, because the depth of this dip tells me that at some point sellers are going to come back. I would need to see that 445 level tested, and then now that support is confirmed, and then a leg higher I can embrace, and then I can actually get fairly bullish and fairly long, knowing that we've had a bounce here, we rallied up, we made a higher low double bottom, that support level has been tested, and now we're off to the races. So it's always getting that initial move and then confirming the move. What would I be looking for? And so let me go back to the bullish scenario. What do I do? Okay, so I get this breakout in here, but I'm not really convinced that the market is in go-go rally mode. I day trade. I keep my time horizon very short. I don't need to carry overnight longs because I'm still not convinced that this bounce is going to gain traction, and I'm still feeling that sellers are going to return at some point. So that's how I'd approach it from the bullish side. I would only day trade. I'd look for the very strongest stocks that are breaking out. So I'm going to show you one in case that scenario unfolds. But again, only for day trading. Now, what would I be doing if we get that gap reversal down today? Well, that would be a sign that this bounce is only a bounce from oversold conditions, and that we've got a market that is going to reverse back through this resistance level and then stage another leg lower. In that scenario, yes, I would be looking to short weak stocks and even to carry those positions on an overnight basis, perhaps even short-term swing trades, doing some put debit spreads, for instance, perhaps selling some out of the money call credit spreads. So that's the mindset that I'm currently in. I'm going to remove the AVWAP-Q. This is one of the indicators that we use in Option Stalker Pro. That's a software platform that I use. It's a search engine that helps us identify the best stocks. It has lots of features in it that allow us to buy dips. And so I'm going to go in and take a look at the stocks that I highlighted on Sunday night, and we're going to see how they fared. So one of the stocks was Mara, M-A-R-A. And here, again, mind you, this is what the market has been doing. Market bounced. We've had this nice rebound right in here. What has Mara done? Very, very stubborn price action. And you can see during this bullish price action right in here, it wasn't until yesterday that the stock actually started to show some signs of life. So this is relative weakness. If we get that market rally this morning, which we're going to on the open, and Mara cannot get through that 100-day moving average, pretty much opens flat, that's going to tell me that this resistance level is intact. You can also see that there is a horizontal resistance level that comes into play pretty much where this red candle closed right here. So that close was around the 1225 level. I want that to hold firmly. This is a big drop. You can see earnings right here, very negative earnings reaction. So this type of waterfall event tells me there's some heavy selling pressure in this stock. And I want sellers to look at the market and think, if this stock bounces at all, I want to exit my long positions, and they'll keep the selling pressure on. The stock will roll over and it'll come down and test this 200-day moving average. So I still think this stock has more downside, but I don't want to see much of a bounce in it right now. I want to see that lid on it, and I want to see that heavy selling pressure, RIOT. Both of these are cryptocurrency stocks. Same deal here. Look at that drop after earnings. You can see that we've got an upward sloping trend line we can zoom out on right now, and we can take a look at where that comes into play. You can see right in here is one trend line. This is the one that's currently showing up on our chart. That is a significant trend line. And right now we've poked below it. So that's going to provide a little bit of resistance, but I really want to keep this 100-day moving average intact. So I'm going to also be looking for the same type of price action where the stock is moving higher with the market, but it just can't get off the deck. That tells me that sellers are still in control. Another stock that we were looking at is Win. Win generates most of its revenue in China. China's economic numbers have been very weak. So you got the market popping in here, and the stock is barely able to get off the deck here. It didn't release on that big day that we had yesterday. So I want to see this continued selling pressure, selling pressure, selling pressure. If I get that, then I'll be looking to sell an out of the money call credit spread. That'll give me some distance from the action and allow me to take advantage of time premium decay. And I'll know that the market is likely to drift lower because that resistance level is still intact. Market first, market first, market first. Then we zero in on the weakest stocks where we know there's been institutional selling. And we know that because the stock is weak relative to the market, 10SI below zero. So yes, I still like Win. I think that's going to be a decent short also. Tesla was another short that I had pointed out. Tesla had some news, so here we come in Monday morning and boom, the stock blows through the 100-day moving average and it gets back above this upward sloping trend line that was breached. That was also bearish. But you can see how the stock had this really nice day here, and then it tried to continue up. This downward sloping trend line provided some resistance. Yesterday, when we had this big market rally, what did Tesla do? It gapped down and it could not recapture that previous open, that previous high. So on this bounce right here, there are sellers. Sell, 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 sell. We don't care what the market's doing, just sell. This is a good opportunity for us to unload some shares. Well, if the stock were particularly strong, we would have taken out the open of that long red candle. We would have finished somewhere up in here. That would have told me that we're not ready. The stock is not ready to be shorted yet. So what am I looking for in Tesla today? I want to see Tesla open flat. Get this nice 25-point rally in the S&P 500. Tech stocks really look good. What does Tesla do? Nothing. Can't get through that opening price. And with any market weakness during the day, I want to see Tesla get hammered down. If I see that type of weakness, I'm going to feel pretty comfortable selling an out of the money call credit spread, perhaps keying off of that 50-day moving average. I might even have to come in a little bit closer, and that's okay if I get that type of market price action that suggests that this resistance is going to stay intact. A nice heavy duty gap reversal today where the first bar of the day opens above the 445 level, and then we see long red candle, long red candle, long red candle filling the gap in the first half an hour of trading on heavy volume. That is the kind of selling pressure that would tell me that the market is going to roll over because that selling pressure is still heavy. So let's take a look at a 5-minute chart so that I can show you the type of pattern that we're looking for. And we had that actually unfold earlier this week. And you can see how that gap up, which by the way, gaps up are very difficult to trade from the long side because they present a lot of risk to us. And so when you get this opening gap up like this, if you're a buyer here and you buy that open, you've got a lot of room for that gap to fill. So you've got a lot of downside risk. So it's very risky to try and buy a gap and go formation. There is what I would be looking for today. This type of price action on the open would suggest to me that there is heavy selling pressure. And then you can see how that set the tone for the rest of the day. If I see this, it's going to tell me that that 445 resistance level is intact. And then I can start to proceed with shorting some really nice stocks. Start out with some day trades, look for some swing trades, knowing that that 445 level should hold. We're also going to have some remarks from that Jackson Hole conference. So if there are remarks about increasing interest rates and still continuing on the tightening path, that's not going to bode well for the market. So that's one pattern that I would be looking for. If on the other hand, I get this pattern, which was yesterday, this is a gap and go pattern where that gap is preserved and then we instantly start building on it. This would tell me that this bounce has more upside to it. Buyers really like the results from NVIDIA. Buyers are back in embracing tech stocks. I need to be relatively passive with any shorts. I need to wait for this resistance to form. Day trade stocks that are really, really strong from the long side if I get this type of gap and go formation. I have a suspicion. So overseas markets had a reaction to the NVIDIA news overnight. They had a reaction to that nice rally that we had yesterday, and they're generally positive, up about a half a percentage point or so overnight, Asia and Europe included. So the backdrop is okay, kind of following our market. But here's a tell for me, and I'm going to bring up the SPY 5-minute chart so we can see what happened after the close. Well, there's what happened once NVIDIA announced earnings. We got this big spike up, and you can see that we're clearly through that 445 level. But you can also see that the market has not been able to build on those gains overnight. Let's also take a look at what NVIDIA has done overnight, and we'll be able to see that initial reaction. And you can see there's the initial reaction, but there's some weakness. This is a fairly substantial retracement. What you'd like to see from the long side is a long green candle like this, and then we just hold all of the gains and we don't get any kind of selling pressure like that. So there is some selling pressure on NVIDIA. That tells me that the market probably is not going to be in go-go mode, but I'm not going to do anything with that, at least for the first half an hour. I'm just going to observe the price action, and then I'll know if I'm day trading from the long side or if I'm looking to day trade from the short side and perhaps establish some longer term swing trades with that 445 SPY level being firmly intact. So that's the game plan. Now let's go find a couple of stocks. You have your marching orders. We're watching the market for the first half hour. We want to see one or the other scenario play out, either heavy selling or we want to see that gap and go continue higher. Get through that 445 level without a problem or steadfast defend that from the short side. So if I take a look at some of my searches, I'm going to go on the bullish side first, and I'm going to go into Golden Cross because I happen to find a nice stock. These are all of our stock searches. They all look for something a little bit different. And what I'm looking for is a stock that has not been selling off recently. And I found one in this search that I really liked, and I'm going to go into a daily chart because all of our analysis starts on a longer term basis. And then when we like the stock on a longer term basis for swing trading, we know that it's also going to set us up with some day trading opportunities. And so if I zoom out, excuse me, you can see that this is a pretty substantial trend line that is going to be breached on the upside. And we also have another trend line that has already been breached to the upside. So this is a horizontal resistance level that's also been breached to the upside. The stock is above all the major moving averages, and the golden cross is a 50 200 day moving average cross. It's got decent relative strength. Here's what I like about this chart. Yes, we've broken through some trend lines. Very, very important. That is going to provide us with another level of confirmation technically, but I love this gap up. You can see that there were earnings after the close, and then the stock gapped up, and it was able to preserve all of that gap. Never came close. Had one little bullish hammer right in here, still didn't get close. So you have a higher low in here. Again, mind you, what has the market been doing? Down, 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 down. Not this stock. If this were all fluff, and this were a short covering bounce, it would be quickly reversed with that type of market action. But the fact that it did not reverse, that it held all of these gains, and that it's got nice relative strength and decent volume. Look at that increasing volume right in there. Yesterday, they loved it. They got some decent market price action, and buyers who had been trying to scoop in here knew that they better hurry up because this train was about to leave the station. So they started lifting offers because they want to be in this stock long term. And then you've got all of your technical breakouts to support the move. UPWK. I really like this stock. You can do a call debit spread out of the money. You can key off of the 16 dollar level. Maybe you do a 16, 17 call debit spread. I wouldn't want to be paying more than, say, 25 or 30 cents for that. Or you can buy in the money calls that have at least a few weeks worth of life, expecting that stock to continue to move higher. And it's got plenty of room on the upside. We know that it's just broken through these technical levels and it's got lots of room to move higher. So I really like that one on the long side. So let's see what we can find on the short side, and then we'll be done for today. I'm going to go into my bearish searches, and I'm going to go into red royal flush. So what am I looking for here? As I'm flipping through charts, there has to be something that I can very quickly visualize. Well, we've had 4 days of a decent market bounce. I want to see stocks that have been trashed, that have not been able to rally with the market, that have breached major technical support levels, because they should have been able to have at least a little bit of strength with this type of market backdrop. So I'm going to go into Nike. We'll take a look at that. We've had earnings announcements from Foot Locker, from a lot of apparel companies, and they haven't been particularly good. Dick's was another example. They sell a lot of Nike apparel. Nike gets about a third of its revenues from China. We already know China's relatively weak. And when you get these types of breakdowns through technical support, you should go and take a look at what the news is on the stock. What's driving the price action? Is it material? Is this something I can lean into? Well, for Nike, you can see these big gaps down. So yesterday the stock opens on its low and it is able to recover some of those losses, but much of that was because of the market. As we zoom out, we can see this is a significant upward sloping trend line, a very long-term trend line. This is a nice low minus trend line that was breached to the downside. Horizontal support level breached to the downside. Longer term horizontal support level breached to the downside. Volume heavy, relative weakness. Institutions are selling Nike. And we know that because of the price action and because the market was heading higher and this stock was still getting trounced. So what do I want to see out of Nike today? On the short side, it's really nice when we get a gap up, because then instantly we can see if a stock is participating in that early bounce. So I want to see Nike not be able to get anywhere into this gap. It can go up to maybe the high from yesterday, or maybe up to that $100 price level gap up. And then if the market is creeping higher for the first 30 minutes or so, nothing big, nothing explosive, then I know the market's probably not going to be able to hold that 445 level. Then I want to see Nike drifting lower. So little pop with the market is fine, but whatever gap Nike has, I want to see those red candles starting right away on the open. So if I get that market setup that I'm looking for and Nike can't show me anything decent, then I'll know that that's a good short and the stock is going to continue to go lower. I believe Nike is going to be under selling pressure for quite a while, given the news recently. So yeah, I really like that one. And if I go down this same list, this is red royal flush. That means that these stocks are on a sell signal from a 15-minute basis all the way to a daily basis, 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour daily basis. So lots of selling pressure across the board. Well, here's another stock that sets up pretty well. You can see how we've broken through this upward sloping trend line. This is a low plus trend line. We'll zoom out, take a look at where that comes from, and you can see that is a significant trend line breach. Stock down, down, down with the market bouncing. Institutions are in there selling it. This is a significant low minus trend line breach. Same type of principle here that I'll be looking for today. Starbucks has been weak. Let's take a look at Starbucks on a 5-minute basis and see what it did yesterday. So you've got this big gap and go for the market. Gap up, continuation. What did Starbucks do? Gapped up with the market And this is what I'm looking for today. So market's gapping up today. This is what the stock does. See ya later. Heavy selling. Oblivious to the market, confirming those technical breakdowns. This tells me sellers are aggressive. Look at that volume. That's what gives us the confirmation. So what am I looking for today? Very similar pattern. Stock can gap up, but then I want to see instant selling pressure. That is what's going to tell me that this stock is a good short. I just need to make sure that the market is not going to be in go-go rally mode. I need to make sure that that SPY 445 level is going to hold. If I get that, it's all systems go because we know the sellers are in these stocks. That is how we trade this system. Come to my website, check out all the free resources that I have, tons of free information. Go back and watch my YouTube videos. In each one of them, I cover the previous pick. I go through the market analysis, show you how the trade turned out. Then we look for our next pick. So there's lots of evidence. There's lots of proof that this system works. And if you like what you see, come in and take the free trial. You're going to see lots of members in our chat room who have learned the system and who are posting fantastic trades throughout the course of the day. It's not about me. I know how to trade. It's about me being able to teach you how to do this and to provide you with the best tool set, that being Option Stalker, to help you find these setups. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to do another video Sunday night. We won't have a whole lot to really discuss, but we will be able to take a look at the price action that we got today on the open. We'll be able to see if that 445 level was held, meaning resistance, and if the market backed off of it with the Jackson Hole comments. And if that's the scenario that plays out, we're going to take a look at the stocks, these two stocks that I've just highlighted. If, on the other hand, we get a gap and go today, the market continues to move higher, we'll also be able to take a look at that, and we'll take a look at how the long performed. It's important to have this game plan in place before the market even opens, because then you're going to know exactly which actions you should be taking based on what the market's doing. Thanks again so much for watching. We'll see you soon. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers, and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.